the hook to Linux. And let's continue. So the agenda for today's session is, first, I will introduce you to a TryHackMe platform, which is an interesting platform to learn cybersecurity fundamentals and also the science itself. After that, I'm going to introduce Linux and why it is important for everyone, especially if you're in IT, to learn about Linux. Then we will run just a few commands, and we will interact with the file system. We will search for files, and we will use what is called the shell operators to do some advanced stuff. And then we will do a recap, okay? And then we gonna have our Q&A session to answer all of your questions. So if you have anything, don't hesitate to stop me, no problem, during the session, or you can just open the mic and talk. You have no problem with that.
Yes, Omar, sorry to interrupt, if I find anything in the chat, so I could let you know, so you don't have to go back and forth between the screens, all right?
All right.
All
All right.
right.
Thank you, Bush.
You're
Bush.
welcome. No problem.
So the first thing is, what is Linux? And when we talk about Linux, sometimes it is called GNU Linux, and this is the official name. It is not Linux. Actually, there is a story behind this. It is a long story that we could have like a session about it later. But just to make everything simpler, now, know that you have to know that Linux is sometimes referred to as GNU Linux. Okay, so you have no problem with this. So when we speak about Linux, Linux is just an operating system, a normal one such as Windows or Mac OS, nothing new. But every new operating system will have some advantages and disadvantages. So what makes Linux different from Windows and Mac OS? The first thing is that Linux is open source. Open source means that you have an access to the code of the operating system itself. Hence, you can get this code and you can build upon it. So it is fully customizable. You can build your own Linux operating system, or it is called Linux distribution or flavor, for a specific purpose. For example, there are some distributions for web servers. There are some distributions for the desktop applications. There are even some distributions for Linux engineers, like for the advanced stuff, and so forth. So you can build your own operating system using Linux, and people can also take your operating system and build upon it, as we will see. And also, like the second thing about Linux, it is the second advantage. It is that Linux is lightweight. It's very lightweight. The fact that you can have a web server with just 512 megabytes of RAM. This is like a small amount of RAM, and you can have a web server, and people can visit your website. So when we compare this solution to like another solution, which is Windows Server, it's impossible to have like a web server with just 500 megabytes of RAM. So that's what makes Linux different. Of course, there are many things, but these are just like the top things. Okay. So now we knew about Linux. Let's jump to why Linux is important. Why should I, as a student, as an engineer, as a developer, as anyone working in IT, why I should know about Linux? The first thing is it's about tool. This Linux is powering many applications around us, from robotics to smart TVs, Android devices. Like the fact is that Android OS is built on Linux, and also traffic lights and so on. There are a lot of applications built with Linux. So if you just you don't want to be specific with web application or web development, for example, you want to So this is like to be specific. Linux because it makes you competent among the job applicants in IT. So it is an advantage for anyone in IT, for developers, for sysadmins, like even if you aren't, definitely Linux will help you. The third one is that Linux has many cool tools and features that increases your productivity. This is like it's like out of the IT roles and out of your job. For the personal use, many Linux distributions exists just to make your life more productive, and even like many solutions that exist in the Windows, for example, the Office 365. There are like equivalent applications that exist in Linux, and all of these applications are built by community developers. So Linux has a huge community that supports it. So you like it's rare for anyone to find something hard to deal with. Everything was like instantiated from the ground up by the community. So that's why Linux is important for us, especially for us as students to learn. And I think also the university, they're not exposing us to Linux, although it's important for the job market, as I said before. So this is a good thing for you to learn. As I told you before, this is the first link in the slides. You can see here, like this is a graph. You can see all the distributions built from 1992 to 2022. Like the first thing is SLS. We have Slackware. We have SUSE. Like there are a lot of things. I'm just pointing that to mention like the big names that you would face if you work with Linux. Actually, you have Ubuntu, which is working with servers. Sorry. Yeah, we have Ubuntu. Yeah, so Ubuntu is a Linux distribution. As you see, when Ubuntu Linux that was built on based on Ubuntu. We have, for example, Ubuntu Touch. A lot of operating system. So Ubuntu is used in desktop as a server using Ubuntu server. Also, there is a Linux distribution called Linux Mint, which is like the GUI is more like similar to the Windows GUI. So if you want to use a desktop like a desktop operating system, Linux one, you can pick Mint. Also, there is Red Hat, which is specifically for Linux engineers to make
কথা
advanced
শুনতে দে কি
stuff.
বলে, শুনতেই
So
পারতেছো
you
না
can
তোদের
see now
বকবকতে।
even there is Raspberry Pi here, Raspberry Pi OS, which was developed in 2020. So this is the Linux distribution. Also, you can visit this repo in GitHub, which is Linux Timeline. It also has some interesting links to see. One of them is which is this one, a distro watch. Like I think this is like a repository for all of the distributions and like you can see here Ubuntu. This is like I found this more interesting. This is Linux from scratch. Like you're building your Linux distribution from the ground up. Also, you can see here the data that they collected, which is hits per hour. Like, do people want this or not? You can find ranks in the last 6 months. MX Linux was ranked number one. And even you can see specific here, starting with 2002, which is a long time ago. So these are interesting information that you wanna, if you wanna learn more. So now after we new about Linux, let's have our lab. You can scan this QR to get into our lab. I will just copy and paste the lab URL for you and put it here. So this is the lab. I'm opening it here. So this is the lab for today's session. But before doing the lab, I'll just TryHackMe, as I said, it is a platform such as Quick Labs, but it's different from Quick Labs. Quick Labs is just focusing about cloud and everything related to cloud. However, TryHackMe is about cybersecurity, and not just cybersecurity. It's like the foundation steps that you take in order to have a career in cybersecurity. So as you see, this is the dashboard. It has, for example, a skills matrix to tell you which skills you are building right now. This is your level, friends, etc. Even they have learning paths. For example, if I got here to learn, I remember when I signed into this website and platform, there were just 5 or 4, but as you see now, there are, I think, 9 of them, and a lot of rooms and resources are there. There are a lot of free ones, as well as the premium. It's just $10 a month. You're free to choose just the free or the premium, but either one, like, you will be benefited a lot and you will learn a lot of things. So as I said, when I see here, for example, I can say here Linux. So what is a room? A room is like a sequence of tasks, and each task we have to complete to get some points, and moreover, badges are like to verify your skills, and these are more important for employers. So as you see, when we complete our room today, we will get this badge, catlinux.txt, being competent in Linux. So you can see your activity, and also you have a public profile, so employers and other people can see your achievements, and also you can share them. Sorry about the internet. You got the idea. Okay, so this is your rank. For me, I'm in the top 10%, and these are the badges, the rooms I completed. These are my badges, and this is my yearly activity. I think this is much similar to GitHub. So everything is listed, and you can share this. Like, you can share this, for example, to LinkedIn or Twitter, or just a link, whatever you want, or your personal website. So you can like advertise yourself to employers using these platforms. So let's get into the Linux. At first, let's go to, sorry, on this. Yeah. Okay, let's start our session. We finished the introduction and the background about Linux. So we're gonna just complete here, and also it says what year was the first release of a Linux operating system. It was mentioned here, as you see, 1992. So let's answer this. So I think this is wrong. Let's copy and paste this and go to our friend Google. 1990. Yes, 20. All right, this is correct answer. So now let's get in. As I told you, this is a practical lab. The information that we covered before, this is the only theory that we have to cover. Now we are going to start a machine, and a machine is just a Linux instance that will start right now. and we will use it to answer the questions, okay, and earn our points and get our badge at the end and also learn. So let's learn, like let's wait some minutes for this to complete. And it just takes some minutes to deploy the Linux instance for you.
I think the best part about this platform is we're gonna get a badge at the end of the day. So you have a feasible asset to show that you have worked for this, right? So it's a good way
Yeah,
to practice as well as achieve something at the end of the day that would be helpful for you to flaunt, basically.
I
So
am
it's a
totally.
good thing.
Yeah, another thing also that I think I forgot to mention, not all the rooms will be like this, just text. Some of the rooms will be about, let me just, for example, read here, single CTF. Yeah. In this room, talked about, for example, about how to exploit specific open ports, for example, and how to hack like web servers. So at here, when we start the machine, it will deploy a Linux instance and information he's asking us. So as you see here, administrator section. So we have to like move from the normal users to the root user or the admin, which is called Linux, privilege escalation. This is terminology in ethical hacking. So it is not just about teaching; it's also about practicing. And also, when you practice, you get some cool badges. Us after we end. Now let's get to our Linux. So as you see right now, this is the Linux machine. The first thing that you notice that we have no GUI not right now. The GUI is the graphical user interface. So as I said, the Linux is lightweight. So if you want a Linux distribution with a GUI or folders and photos and all of these, it will be
Blockbuster.
like big size. So
Delenakilex.
when it is lightweight, it is always you have the terminal, and the terminal is the place where we contact like or we communicate with our system, with the operating system. So right now, I am just entering commands, okay, hitting enter and waiting for a response from the operating system. So as you see now, the operating system says command not found, as this is not this is just a dummy command. So let's get into our machine. We already created it. So now let's run our first few commands. The first command that we're gonna learn is echo, which we use it to output any text. Okay, so I think some of you might think like, what is the use of this? Maybe it is useless, but it's actually useful because sometimes we use it in order to test our scripts that they are executing the right commands, right? And also sometimes when you install some like applications in Linux and you don't have a GUI, you just the application tells you 1%, 2%. So this is how it communicates this percentage to you. So like let's practice right now. We're gonna say echo and any text like hello from VDC and it replied with us. So it replied with the text. What if we wanna like have spaces between the words? So we're gonna again write echo, but include it within a quotation mark. So hello from GDSC, as it will say, right? So this is echo. The second one is who am I? And also this is an intuitive, it just let the operating system tells you which user you're logged in as. So now I'm logged in as the TryHackMe user. All right. So also another question you might ask, like, why this command is useful, why it actually exists. It has many use cases. The first one is for sysadmins. So system administrators actually work with like hundreds and maybe thousands of computers. So he might want to know to he want to know which user I'm logged on, because I don't want to perform some actions on the wrong user. All right. So this is a critical thing. And also for programmers, like when you write script, you want to make sure like you're not executing some operations on the wrong username. For example, you want to exclude the root user from some actions. So you're gonna use who am I command to do this. And also, like, this is a pro tip for hackers actually. Like, as you saw in the other room, which is simple CTF, I told you before, when you exploit this machine, you want to know which user you're logged on. Okay, so you're gonna use who am I to check whether you're a normal user or a root. If you're just a normal user, you are going to like do privilege escalation to be a root and take over the full system. So these are the first two commands that we learn. The first one is echo, and the second one is who am I. All right. So let's get in here, and it says here if we wanted to output the text try hack me, what would our command be? There is a hint, but we don't want to use it now. What do you think? What is uh, the answer? If you can write or speak, no problem with this.
Uh, I think, as you mentioned, if anyone wants to answer, if not, I could. As you mentioned, it should be echo and then the test that is try hack me.
All right, let's try it. I'm gonna try it here before now. Sorry. Echo try hack me. Yeah, that's correct. Nice, Buddha. Good job. So the second one is, what is the username of who you're logged on as on your deployed Linux machine? I think we did it before. Let's try it again. Who am I? And then it says try hack me. So let's say try hack me. And this way we finished fourth task. And now let's learn how to interact with the operating system. So interacting with operating system is different when it comes to a terminal, because you're not just clicking to a folder, you're not backspacing to the parent folder, and so on. You're gonna have to write commands to list the current content of a directory, right? And also you want to change your directory. You want to go from a directory to another. Sometimes also you want to concatenate or view the contents of a file, specific file like a text file or a log file, for example. And sometimes you want to know where is this directory is located in the operating system, specifically in the file system. So let's check right now. Let's use list, which is, I think it is like, oh, sorry for this. Yeah. So when we list the current content, we see we have an access.log file. We have folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, and 4. As you noticed here, the folder color, the text color is different from the normal files. So you can like indicate that this is a folder and not a file. So actually, list here it is just mentioned in list and just it, but I want to give you more a relative path. Like the relative path is it is relative to the current directory. For example, I want to now list the current contents of folder one. Okay, so I'm going to use ls and then folder one. Nothing. Let's try folder two, try folder three, and folder four. You can see now we have note.txt. So I have listed the command, the contents of the folder one without navigating to it. So this is uh, like an important point. Okay, you don't have to just change the directory to folder one, folder four, and then ls to have the same result. No, you can just go backward, and this is how you do it. To go backward or backspace into the parent directory, you just type dot dot double dots, okay, and it will take you to the tilde here, which is your home user directory. And if I take ls or list, it will give me the same result. So this is how we use ls. We can also list like the contents of any directory outside like the parent directory, but we have to give the absolute path, which is like in Windows you see, of course, you know, I think like there's C slash user slash like the username slash desktop and so on. In Linux, it's quite different. It is like slash. This is the parent directory, and you can see, for example, etc. Like this is a lot of things. This file, this directory like contains the services files and configuration files for the operating system. Like you don't have to concentrate about this, but yeah, the thing that you want to know is you can list any files outside the directory that you're working on and also inside it. So you can use it like in system-wide. So this is the list. The other thing is CD. As I showed you before, we can change the directory to any folder, and also we can go backward. And now we can concatenate. Let's concatenate and show the contents of the note.txt, which is in folder one, folder four. Sorry, it says hello world. So this is how we concatenate. And sometimes we can use like the BWD, which is print working directory or present working directory. There is an example here is located in the home directory of this user slash documents. So let's change the directory to this directory. Documents. I think this is out of the scope of this project. Okay, no problem. Okay, we just changed the directory. I wanted to show you that the BWD, for example, when I execute it now, here it is tilde, okay? But now we see another thing, which is slash home slash TryHackMe. And this is the like an equivalent to the home directory of this user, okay? So you may be, for example, in slash tilde slash documents, but you want to know the things that before the tilde, because for example, like it is customizable. I can like change the tilde to represent other things than slash home slash TryHackMe. So if I want to know the absolute path, I will use BWD also, and sometimes it is used as like, from developers to know which directory the program is in. All right. So this is the BWD. On the Linux machine that you deploy, how many folders are there? We listed them before. There's 4. And which directory contains a file? We already did this. It's folder 4. 4. And what is the content of this file? We can say here. It is here. Paste it. Forward. Click on it. Let's write it. Use the cd command to navigate to this file and find out the new current working directory. What is the path? So let's navigate to this, which is change directory to folder 1, folder 4. Then it says what is current working directory. So we're gonna use the dwd, dwd is /home/tryhackme, /home/tryhackme, and then folder 4. So this is how we navigate the operating system, how we list the files, how we change directory, how we show the contents of a file, and also how we know the present directory that we're working on. So now let's go to the task 6, which is searching for files. When it comes to searching about files in Linux, there are two essential commands. The first one is find, right, and the second one is grep. Okay, it's like grep, and I'm going to like explain what is it. So find is I'm giving the operating system a command to just find where is this file located in the operating system. So it will search for like the operating system itself, everything in the operating system, and it will say, yeah, this file is located in, for example, /home/tryhackme/folder 26, for example. So this is the find. And the grep is just, it is searching the contents of the file. For example, if I want to, like this is a real world scenario, if I want to search a specific IP in an access log of a web server, for example. So I can use this and achieve the result with grep, right? So let's try now the find. Let's go back to our home directory, and the way find works, which is find, and then we use something called a flag to indicate we want to search a specific file, search for this file. So we can say now, for example, find -name, and let's search for node.txt, and it says, yeah, it exists in /folder4 and node.txt. And why this dot exists? This dot represents like the current working directory, which is /home/tryhackme. It's just like the tilde, all right? But the dot is not as the tilde. The tilde is like a constant thing, but the dot is it is different each time you use it, because it depends on the current working directory that you're working on. So this is how we use define. And also the grep, we can use it to, for example, as I told you before, we can search for a specific IP in an access log. And the access log is here. Let's do this command, which is grep, and this IP, which is 81.143.211.19, and we specify the file itself. We can pass the file name or the absolute path or the relative one. It depends on your choice. And it found nothing here. Okay, let's say access one. A lot of things here, I think. Let's pick I want to search for an IP to simulate the same thing. Okay, it's a lot of things. Yeah, we have here 13, 127, 130. We write it. 13, 127, 130, 212. All right. So let's do it now again. Okay. Let's get the command. I'm using the arrow keys up to get the history, and just editing the previous command, which is 13.127.130.12, and it got me. And you can see it is red label here, like the color is changing, all the lines containing this IP address within the access.lab. So now let's go to our questions. Yeah, before listing the question, here it is like mentioning another tool. It is not covering, it's just giving an example, which is word count. So WC or word count, it just gives you how many uh, words in this file. So you can use it here. Is the flag, and it says 300. Okay, point two. So now let's use grep. Find the flag that has TryHackMe. What is the flag? So let's use it now. Grep. We will say TryHackMe or THM. Sorry, this is the
Access
application
log.
for TryHackMe. Access the flag, and then this is the flag that he asked about. Is not TryHackMe access, and still haven't found what I'm doing. Okay, let's finish this and let's continue for the last part in this session. So, you have the guys any questions until here? Okay, let's continue. So, what are the shell operators? The shell operators are some operators that like do additional things. They are not like like they're not a part of the command itself, but it affects our commands. So we have four main shell operators. The first one is the AND, okay, and this operator like it allows our command to run in the background. What does this mean? So let me like give an example of installing or upgrading your operating system. When you upgrade an operating system or Linux operating system, you're just having one terminal. So many operations are like done like downloading and extracting and installing the packages. So everything is happening in front of you. But what if you want to, beside installing the upgrade for the operating system, you want to have some tasks to be done. So you're going to use this operator to run your command in the background. So you can continue using your operating system while this command is completing in the background, and it will not affect your workflow. The second one is double AND, which is it is used to combine commands. Okay, let's come here. As you see here, it says command one and or double and command two. But this, like, you have to be careful. The work that is done here, that command two will not be executed if command one fails. All right. So, for example, let's simulate this here. If I said I want to cat a file that is not existing at all, which is, for example, gbc.txt, for example, right? This file does not exist actually in this directory. And let's say and pwd. So now when I hit enter, it says vdc no such file or directory. This file does not exist. And as this command failed, okay, the second command will not be executed at all. All right. So this is the double AND operator. And you have to be careful. Like sometimes you will mislead between them, so you have to be careful with this. The third one, which is the greater than operator, the greater than and are used as operators. What mean by the conjunction is, for example, when I say cat edc.txt, it is supposed to give me the contents of this file, right? So sometimes I want to process the contents of this file. So let's say I want to create now to manual registry or not. Let's try that. And as a text editor, yeah, let's say hello from University of Bahrain, right? So now I'm going to save it and close, and now let's list, and you will see gdsc.txt, right? So I want to like add gdsc.txt, right? And it will give me the lines I wrote. But now I want to redirect these to grep, okay, Bahrain. And yeah, I have to explain in the like specify. I don't know why it is not working, but let us like that's this example. It's working at the end on it. So that's why like what I mean by redirection. It is redirecting the output to an input. So we can use it like one of the use cases for this is to create like an empty file. And we can do this by two ways. One of this, just for example, I would say the redirection, which will redirect nothing to this to text function, for example. Now when I ls, you'll see now it exists here, right? And it has, let's get it again, it has nothing. So we can use this operator to create files and also to redirect our output to anywhere else. And also we can use the second one is the fourth one, which is the double greater than, which is used to append the output rather than replacing. So when we use this alone, if the file already has some contents, it will delete everything and replace it. However, with this, it will add to the contents. So let's try again the files now with echo. For example, it's echo hello Bahrain, for example. And now I will redirect it now to, for example, hello txt. And now when I concatenate contents of hello.txt, you'll see hello Bahrain. Now, for example, let's echo hello Bahrain, hello Arabian Gulf, for example. But I will not replace it with double. I'll keep it the same, this redirection operator. And let's the contents. You will see that the contents are replaced. Now let's do the same for Bahrain, but I'll replace the single one with the double. And when we concatenate the hello.txt, you will see hello Bahrain and hello Arabian Gulf. So these are how to use the operations, the operators. And also to give an example of this, for example, you can say like sudo apt install like VLC, for example, and then I'm doing this, and everything will be happening in the background. Right now, I'm not going to execute it because this will violate the policy for them, as this lab is not intended to install VLC. But just to give you an example of how to use the background operation. All right. So let's see our questions now. If we wanted to run a command in the background, what operator would we use? So to answer this, we're gonna
And
use, yeah, we're gonna use it now. Do you have any answers?
yes, it's gonna be and. Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, that's correct. And the second one is saying, if I wanted to replace the contents of a file named passwords with the word password123, what would my command be? So what do you think when
I
you're
think
writing
it's
the
gonna
code?
be greater than.
Greater than, let's try. Can you like tell me the the whole command?
Yes, I think it's gonna be echo password greater than, and then the
Right.
text maybe,
1, 2, 3. Right. Password.
and then passwords 123.
Yeah, that's correct. So now if I wanted to add TryHackMe to this file named passwords, but also keep passwords 1, 2, 3, what would my command be? Anyone have an answer?
Double greater than.
Yes. Let's try it. Okay,
Yes,
double greater
Zahara
than.
also answered in the chats. Let's check.
Me, name passwords. Yeah, two passwords. Now use the deployed Linux machine to put these into practice. I think we've done a lot of things now, so this is a completed task. So as a conclusion, we learned, like, we understood why Linux is important, and we knew about Linux. We interacted with it using the first two commands. I will review everything now regarding the commands, but in general, we run our commands to interact with the file system, and also we used like the commands to search for files and also the contents of them, and we did some advanced operations such as running the commands in the background, appending to a file, or replacing, also combining the commands together. So I think we did a lot of things today. You should be proud of what you learned. This is like the base thing to build upon, and you have a wonderful future with Linux actually. So let's just have a sneak peek to Linux fundamentals part 2. Uh, this I already solved it. So we're gonna use SSH, and also we're gonna use flags. Uh, we're gonna have like some advanced things regarding interaction with the operating systems. We're gonna know about permissions, how do we like deal with multiple users having access to the same resource. Also sharing files between users. Also, there is Linux Fundamentals Part 3 that we're gonna have a session on, and also we're gonna have a session, inshallah, on Linux Fundamentals Part 2. Just a recap now. Let's do a recap on the specific commands that we did, and also the things that we knew. We knew that there is a GUI, which is the graphical user interface. Operating systems that don't have a GUI have the terminal, which is a medium, which is used to communicate with the operating system. When you echo to print output, when you who am I to print the current logged in user, and also we listed and changed directories. Also, we concatenated the file type, the file contents. We knew like how to know our present working directory. We searched using file type, using file contents. We get to know about the operators. Only if the previous one direction, which is greater than, to overwrite files content, and also to append using the double greater than sign. If you have any questions, we have 10 minutes left, I think. Feel free to ask anything. I'll be more than happy to assist you.